Hey everyone, Jason here with another Nano Coaster video today. Today we're going to be assembling El Toro from Six Flags Great Adventure in New Jersey. El Toro is a 180-foot tall Intamin prefab wooden coaster, which happened to be my 300th coaster, and so I know I had to pick up this model along with the coaster cutout, which I'm going to do in another video as well. But today we're going to be doing the coaster cutout. If you haven't ridden El Toro, it's one of the smoothest traditional wooden coasters. Almost feels like an RMC. Which is interesting because RMC actually assembled it. Intamin's the manufacturer, but it was assembled by RMC. But ultimately it's a fantastic ride. So let's jump right in. So in the box, you have the base plate along with your track pieces here. It's just a one sheet model, your instructions, and a little tip sheet that tells you to use nail clippers when you're cutting out the pieces. I actually like to use wire cutters. These are wire cutters I purchased on Amazon. I have the link below. Any wire cutter should work. I don't get a kickback or anything. I provide a link below if you're interested in these ones. If not, try to get some wire cutters. Now the first step with any Nano coaster is going to be to remove this brown paper from the coaster. This is a step that's oftentimes forgotten about. I bring it up in each of my videos because once again, you know, this is something a lot of people don't do. When you see people post pictures on Instagram or Reddit, a lot of times they still have the brown paper here. Recently I've seen people start decorating this. If you're going to decorate it, then it may be worth leaving the paper on. Glue and stuff may apply to this easier, but I'm just going to do the black base plate. So to peel this off, you'll just want to put your finger underneath these corners and peel it off. The top of the coaster has the entire track engraved in it, and so this is going to come off in several individual pieces. But when we get to the bottom, it should come off in one or two pieces. So I'll get this peeled off really quick, and then we'll move on to the next step. So there we have the peeled off base plate. If you've seen one of my other videos, you know that one of the steps I like to add in here that's not included with the kit is to add a large logo to the base plate. Now the kit does come with a little El Toro sign right here that's going to stick right here on the front of the base plate, but it's small, doesn't add a lot to it, and so I like to add something larger. With this coaster, it's actually really nice because there's actually a very large space here for a semi-large logo that I've cut out here on my Cricut. If you want the El Toro logo, I've included a link to the SVG down in the description as well. So this is something you can add yourself or use the logo for something else. But to do this, I've cut out, like I said, this logo on my Cricut. And then once I have the logo peeled away here, it's ready to apply to the blank place on the base plate. So I'm just going to kind of center it in here where I want it, press it down against the plate, and then peel off the transfer tape. Like I said, it's going to give us a large logo there on the base plate. Now the next step is going to be to cut out all of the individual pieces here. So here we have 5 track pieces, the station and the El Toro sign. To cut these out, you'll just use, like I said, your pair of wire cutters or nail clippers if you follow their tips. And you'll want to go around on each of these and just cut them out. You want to cut them out very carefully, make sure you don't bend the pieces. With this being a wooden coaster, the pieces do have a little bit more stability than some of the steel coasters. Some of the steel coaster pieces are very thin, not as thin as like a Metal Earth model if you saw in my last video with Hagrid's Magical Creatures motorbike. But you know, they can still bend, so you want to make sure you go around kind of carefully here and just cut these away, but don't bend the pieces as you're removing them from the sheet. So I'll cut out each of the pieces here, get them laid out, and then we'll move on to that step. So now that we've completed cutting out the pieces, the next step is to start assembly. The instructions for this one are just 7 steps. The first step is just a blank base plate. Step 2 is going to have us add this piece here, which is going to kind of be over here in the turnaround area towards the end. So this piece has the tall end on the one end, and it's pretty flat, few hills, and then a little bit higher down at this end. For this piece, we're going to start with the tall end. And right here we have 2, you can see there's different size tabs, so this is really hard to put in the wrong place. But right here we have a really long tab, and then next to it we have 2 narrower ones. This is going to go in the first narrower one there. And then we'll just kind of go along here and shape this to the base plate. This is going to have a lot of quick rapid fire turns as we follow this, but we can just kind of bend with our fingers and line up these tabs along with the base plate. And then as you drop these tabs in place, you'll eventually want to bend them over. You can either do this as you go or at the end. So on this particular piece, I'm just going to do it at the end. I'm just going to kind of go along here, like I said, and drop each of these tabs into where they go. And like I said, once they're all in, you'll just kind of want to reach underneath and bend over each of the tabs here 90 degrees. In certain areas of the coaster where there's track next to each other, you'll want to make sure that you're not bending the tab over to cover another tab. So right there you can see this tab's right next to a slot. If I bend it in, it may interfere. So I'll bend it the other direction. So like I said, you want to make sure you're not interfering here. Also, where I'm next to this wide slot, I want to bend away from that slot. And once we have that piece in place, we can kind of come back up here on the top and just use our fingers, make sure that our curves and stuff are exactly how we want them to be. But there's our first track piece installed. So the next step is going to include the station, into the cable lift hill, into the turnaround, into the drop. And so this one's actually going to be bent around a few different ways. And so for this, I want to make sure I get my bending precise. And so I can kind of line up these first two tabs on the lift hill side, but then you'll see this one sticks way out. This one actually needs to be bent around. You can use something to help you shape this if you'd like. Sometimes I use batteries. I have some batteries here, in fact, in case I need them for some of the turnarounds. This one I actually think will be easier to do without, so I'll line up the station one and press it all the way down, and then drop in these two lift hill ones as well. And then with this being a wooden coaster, it's very rigid, and so these turnarounds, it's pretty easy to get them, kind of the way you want them without kinking it too much. With the steel coasters, it's a little bit more difficult, but we can kind of put that piece in like that, and then once again bend over each of these tabs 90 degrees on the bottom to hold this into place. And then once again, you are going to want to do some shaping up here on the top just to get it rounded just perfect. Also with the turnaround up here, if you notice right now, it's a lot wider at the top than it is at the bottom. And so that's kind of something we can just kind of come in here and shape it with our hands and make sure we get that just right. I do have a C-cell battery, which is something we can put in here. It looks like that's actually about the right size for the turnaround, and just kind of shape that first turnaround to the C-cell battery. And so that's going to be our second piece installed, like I said, with the station, into the turnaround, cable lift hill, turnaround, and first drop. Now step 4 is going to continue off that first drop with these airtime hills that come after that. You'll notice this first taller airtime hill actually has a little gap in it. That's where it's going to go over the turnaround as it comes out of the station. And so with this one, we can just continue where we left off, the bottom of that first drop, and just line up each of these tabs in place and drop these down into the slot. And then as I do this, I may also bend over the tabs at the bottom. It may make it a little bit easier on this piece, as a few of the pieces are having a hard time going in. So we'll get that. The first one in, bend over the tab. Second one, bend over the tab. Third one, bend over the tab. And then here at the end, you'll notice that there is a little turning section. So once again, we can just kind of come in here with our fingers. It has the whole track layout engraved into the base plate, which makes this really easy. So you can just kind of follow that shaping. Some people say that it's better if you pre-bend it. I find that it's easier if you follow the base plate for the most part. There's a few times when pre-bending is a must, but for something like this, following the base plate and then just bending over the tabs there is going to kind of give you the look that you want. And so there's our airtime hills into that turnaround at the end. Now step 5 is going to take us back to this outer area here with this small piece here, and you'll notice that there's 2 gaps here. These gaps are going to hop over these zigzag portions here in 2 places. So for this one, I'm actually going to need to do a little bit of pre-bending just in that area, just to get this to fit over the track. You can't really bend it to match the rest of it in the areas that you have to hop over track. So we can pre-bend it just a little bit right there, and then continuing right here at this turnaround, we can put that first slot into place, as well as the second, and then just continue around there. And then from here, we can bend into this next area, and it looks like we may need to do a little bit more pre-bending here as well, because this has to do a sharp turn into the station. So we'll bend that one in, drop this long tab into place right next to this, and then the last tab is going to drop in the station area. And so the station seam is actually going to be covered by the station building. Now once we have all of these dropped into place, once again we'll bend over the tabs on the bottom. And so that finishes that turnaround out there, and all the way back into the station. And then our last track piece here, it's only going to fit into one place. It's going to cover the remainder of the track. And this one is also going to have a little bit of pre-bending. If you look at the top view here, it's actually going to continue from this piece, hop over this track, hop over this track, run alongside the inside of the airtime hills here, and then hop back over the track there. So on this inner end here, we'll want to do a little bit of pre-bending. I'm going to possibly, looks like I'm going to use a D-cell battery here at this end. And so we'll grab that end of the track here, coming off the hill, and we'll just kind of wrap it around the D-cell and kind of get the turn we want. It's not going to be perfect, but it's going to be close enough that it will help us get it onto the track there. Maybe even a little bit tighter turn on part of this. We'll try the C-cell. And so we're going to have that piece pre-bent like that now. Now we can drop that first tab into place, and hopefully the second tab as well. This one's in a very tight space, so it's not super easy to get down in there. And then once I have this first one in place, I'm going to bend over the tab on the bottom and hold that into place. And then as we come over to this flat side here and start getting these dropped down in place, I may do the same thing. And then at this end, there's going to be another turn, like I said, right over the track. There's cutouts where it's going to turn. And then this last tab can drop down into place in the base plate. And then these ones on the flat side, I'm going to have to do a little bit more work to get them to line up, it looks like. Sometimes you just have to kind of massage it, flex it a little bit, and do what you can to get the pieces to drop in where they need to go. Now I have all those pieces in place, bent over the tabs on the bottom. I'm just going to kind of do one last kind of look around with the track here, do any final bending that I need to do just to get it just right, how I want it to look. And that is going to be the completed track layout for El Toro there. Really cool looking. The last two pieces we need to install now are going to be the station and the El Toro sign. If you've done any other Nanocoaster, all the stations are exactly the same. They're these little house looking shapes. You'll just kind of bend it right in the middle, and then bend down each of the walls on the side. And then on each side of the station building here, there's slots that you can drop these in, and then bend over the tabs on the bottom. And then with the sign, there's just one slot out here in front of my vinyl logo that I can put there, bend over the tab underneath, and bend it back a little bit. And so that's the completed kit plus my logo there. Really cool model of El Toro here. Once again, this is a fantastic coaster. I feel like this really shows the layout well. And being a wooden coaster, this is going to be easier to assemble than a steel coaster. Now, if you've seen any of my other videos, you know that the last thing I like to do is I like to add a felt bottom to the bottom of the kit. Underneath the kit, where you've bent over all these tabs, it's a little bit rough. It can scratch your surface when you put it down, and the felt bottom just adds a nice touch and also helps hold each of those tabs in place, once again, so it doesn't scratch your surface when you put it down. And so this is adhesive felt that I purchased from Amazon. I'll link down in the description if you want to add this to your kit as well. But we can just take the Nanocoaster here and put it over the white backing. I typically like to find a long straight side. El Toro doesn't really have one. This back side kind of looks straight, but it's not. It has a large curve. But I'm going to take a pen now and just kind of trace around this on the felt. Just like that. And then I'm going to take my scissors and I'm going to cut out just inside the tracing. It's fine if your felt's a little bit smaller than the actual base plate. It's better than being a little bit bigger. If you do accidentally do it bigger, you can always trim it up a little bit afterwards, but it's just easier if you get it a little bit smaller. So I'm going to cut about 1/8 of an inch inside the line all the way around. And then once we have that cut out, we can peel off a little bit of this backing, just at one end. Peel off a little bit there, tear it off, and then we can line up the Nanocoaster just over that and make sure we get it completely covered. And we'll press down at the end where we rebuild the adhesive. Now that we have that, we can kind of come underneath here, remove the rest of the backing, and then I like to use the table edge to just help apply this to the bottom, make sure that we get it lined up. And there we have a felt bottom now, so we can slide this around on the table. It's not going to scratch anything up. And so there's my completed model. Once again, this is available from Six Flags Great Adventure in the park or on their website. It's $34.99 in the park. If you have a membership or pass, that may include some kind of discount. I use my platinum. I used my diamond membership. And I think I got 35% off the model, which makes it quite a bit more reasonable. If you buy it online, you can't use your discount. That's only available in the park. But ultimately a really cool model. Thank you for watching. If you want to see more videos like this, make sure you hit the subscribe button. If you like this video, make sure you hit the thumbs up button. If you don't like it, that's fine as well. But you still got here anyways. But thanks again for watching. Have a great day.